Hi, this is Downtown Josh Brown, CEO and co-founder of Ritholtz Wealth Management. And I am all sorts of panicked about the stock market as usual.
Knut.
Hey, Howard.
Gnip Gnup. Do you remember that game, Gnip Gnup?
No, I never played that.
Our guest will, even though he probably wasn't born during that time. He just knows a lot of stuff that's not really that important.
He knows a lot of stuff, doesn't he?
He knows a lot of stuff, and he does it with a Long Island accent. And he's our friend Josh Brown. Very few people, probably in my audience, because I'm much higher brow. He's CNBC, and I'm up here. I'm like FT. No, my voice is off. Josh and I go way back, and I'm in a now as I enter my late 70s, nostalgic. I don't like to talk to old people, so I beg the younger kin for my olden days, and I haven't done anything new in like 100 years. So, and every time I have a new idea, as you know, Knut, I get tired, and because of my low T, and I forget what the idea was the next day. So I figure I'm doing I'm only having 3 guests lately. It's Phil Perlman, JC, people that remember me when I was virile.
There you go.
Yeah. And, when I think of virile, I don't think of this guy. Well, I think of this guy because it's the opposite of virile. He is Josh Brown. He's calling in from the country of Long Island. And you know him as the guy whose hair changes a lot on CNBC. That's what I was told. I said his hair. Someone needs to cut his hair. I said I don't watch CNBC. They said he needs to cut his hair, so I'll ask him about that. But he's pretty much daily on CNBC. He's everywhere.
All right.
He has him and Batnick and all his crew have an incredible YouTube channel for finance and financial advisors. They talk markets all the time. He's built a huge, I would say maybe the biggest financial media brand outside of CNBC, and has managed to thrive amidst the glitterati or the people that like to hate on people that are doing well in social media. I miss him on Twitter. He's over on Instagram, which I barely use. I don't get it. I don't like it. But I understand why he gave up Twitter, just like I always dread lately going to the place. But really thrived on YouTube. So I have a lot of questions about YouTube, financial industry. I think he said he's panicked about the markets. And as I just talked with Josh earlier, it's like he panics so you don't have to. Let's bring him on, Josh Brown. And by the way, my son is going to be his neighbor this summer, so don't tell him.
All right.
Josh, hey.
Hey, so I thought that intro would literally never end. That was amazing. And
it's our shortest intro ever because you have a lot to say.
Well, I Googled virile, which you said I'm not, but then I read the description. I'm like, this is exactly what I am. Having strength, energy, and a strong sex drive. Using a sentence, he was a powerful, virile man. I mean, maybe your impression of me is different than the reality, but I'm like a bear in the woods.
I had that down for Batnick, surprisingly. And Ben Carlson.
I am perhaps at my peak virility.
By the way, we are now, because my T-score came in high. This is a funny story, Josh, because you're not being asked to get your T-score yet by your wife, but you will.
What is it? What's a T-score?
Your testosterone levels. Have you had that done?
Why is she asking you to do that?
Because she is the boss.
Did you cry during a movie or something?
What? No, because nothing happens ever. No matter what we do or watch. So she said, I think you should have your T-score checked.
Oh, my God. This is like so much information.
So, I need that pressure.
Yeah.
Right? And, this funny story, so I might as well tell it to you. So, you pull up this site since you're on the internet, Hone Health. So, I'm an indirect, my friend Adam Besivnik, I'm an investor in his fund. I never can pronounce his name right. It's kind of like Josh Brown, hard to pronounce. Anyway, so I looked at the site. Hone Health. This is a big fucking thing, dude. And your friend Phil Perlman is into this shit. So anyways, it's this whole thing, because people under 20, they say now have low T-scores. Maybe it's from watching YouTube or from Tinder. Who knows? Anyways.
It's because they never got into a fight.
Yeah.
I'm telling you the truth. No, they've never, because you know when you're a kid and you're in a scary situation, where you're like a teenager, you're at a party that you shouldn't be at, or you're messing around with someone's girlfriend and the guy shows up at the diner or whatever, like those situations. You know what I mean?
Yeah, very Long Island.
It's like a Springsteen song. Wait, but if you've never been in that situation,
didn't happen in Toronto. You know what happened in Toronto? It was like drive by. Hey, Jew. That was about it. That was as tough as it got. And I ran in the house and cried.
But you need to have those like moments where the adrenaline kicks in and like you find courage and strength that you didn't know that you had. If your mom jumps in the middle every time there's about to be a conflict with, a teacher or another kid or whatever, how would you, I don't know. So can we edit all this out?
No, it's funny. I think if you asked the people most virile in today's age are boys' moms.
Yeah,
they're the most virile.
I agree with that. I dare somebody to mess with my son.
So
I won't even be around.
Your son's probably pretty tough.
We're working on it. He's adorable.
So anyway, I go for the T-score, thinking,
okay.
And the over/under on Twitter was 200, which is pretty low. And so I came in at 519, dude. I want to get a gold chain. Though? Who cares? As long as I fucking was way above the under.
Is he 1,000? Like I'm trying to figure out like
who's 1,000? Sorry,
I don't know. Like Bradley
I think
Cooper.
You would probably come in around me, like sizing you up. With the Gucci loafers and stuff. Like that brings you down 100 points, right? So I think you'd come in at a strong 5, 6. Phil will be like 80, and because he eats so many eggs. But anyways, I came in at 520, and I just feel like a rapper. I feel like I should get a gold chain with my T-score on it because it's so much higher than expected. I blew away numbers.
Other than like buying testosterone or like doing like I don't know, growth hormone. I don't even know what any of this stuff is.
I think that is growth hormone. Like this stuff is all growth hormones. But anyways, my point here is the trend, Josh, and you will get here, is once you get a little bit of money, and I've been lucky enough now, my later, my golden years, to tend to my prostate at will, it is kind of what you think about. It's like, fuck, should I have that milkshake? Like 10 years ago, I was like, fuck it, I'll have 2 milkshakes. And now it's just all these decisions about longevity, because you're getting close. I got 13 years left. I'm 57, And, but anyways, you're how old, 40?
This is exactly how I wanted to spend my Friday. I have to be very honest with you.
I go, Josh, can you fill in Friday? He goes, what are we going to talk about? I said, really important stuff.
Who canceled on you?
My mom. Okay. The subject of today was virility and how come she turned out such a virile guy.
Testosterone?
No, she couldn't get her iPad to work. It was from JCPenney. Do you remember? I don't know. I am nostalgic, and I mean we go way back. Do you remember us? I don't remember how we connected, but is it the Palooza event in San Diego?
No, before that. So you. Very early days of StockTwits, like before you guys were even a company, you were just people using you were like people using the hashtag on Twitter, but like I don't even think the business started. You had a loft or some kind of an apartment as the home office.
Oh, right, in Manhattan. New York.
Whose apartment was that? Was it yours?
I rented it, but it was the office and my apartment just to get things going.
Okay, so you guys threw a party and you basically like tweeted it out, like open house, and like Upside Trader was there, and like a lot of the early days StockTwits people, and that's where I met everybody for the first time. And I remember you had like a camera crew filming you, and I introduced myself to Phil Pearlman, and Pearlman's like, you got to meet Howard. He brings me over to you, and you didn't like have the time of day for me, which is fine because you were on camera being filmed. But anyway, Phil started reading my blog, and then he like formally introduced me to you. And I remember you being like, "Dude, you're smart and you're funny. You're exactly what we're doing. You should move your blog over to our network." And
you did right at the beginning?
Yeah, of course, immediately. you guys were my tribe. Like I was out there doing a blog by myself. It was 2009 and I had started in 08 and I had an audience, but you guys were the ones that were like giving it love and retweeting it. And so I'm like, this is my crew. So I guess Phil's like, dude, move your blog. We'll host it. We just want it to be part of our ecosystem and we want you on the stream. So I'm like, 100%, I'm all in. And that is 2009. So how long ago is that? 14 years.
You know, do you listen to, I think you must, Conan Show podcast?
Who?
Conan O'Brien.
I'm aware of it. I don't.
You would like it because, you know.
No, I like him.
I never knew I liked him so much. And sometimes I listen to the podcast and go, he's talking about himself a lot. And I shouldn't judge him on that because that's me. But then you realize he should because he's such a legend. And I never watched this TV show, but
yeah, well, when somebody gets to your age and level or Conan's age and level, there's like a lot less at stake.
Yeah,
like you've made it. He's made it. It's like what am I jeopardizing? I already did the thing. Not saying like you have nothing left to do, but I'm saying like you made it. So it's like what opportunity is going to be closed off to you because you say something that you know. So I think like there's less risk. And I can't wait to be, I can wait, but I'd like to at some point be in that position where I don't give a fuck anymore. And I got to tell you, I don't know which way it's going to go. There's a lot of shit that I'm keeping in the closet right now. Like I'm holding the closet door shut with my shoulder, trying not to let this out, but it might all come out. Some people are going to be very, very fucked over.
It's not worth it.
To play
I don't
games
mean that you would do that or he's doing that. It's just, you know, in a small level it's StockTwits and FinTwit, and now you're doing with your podcast and the advisory. What amazes me about Conan, and obviously it's Letterman, Conan, because you like comedy too, Johnny Carson, how many careers they launched and discovered, and how many people were interns for Conan that come on a show and Conan didn't even remember.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I'm like, why wouldn't he remember it? And I'm like the same way. I don't remember it. Like it's only 14 years ago and I can't remember the origin stories.
Right.
Because I know we were all around.
Yeah.
And I know Phil, and that's why I'm doing a new thing with Phil. It's just like he knows so much and he also remembers some of the stuff we did, which is fun. And it's fun being nostalgic. But man, people come on Conan Show and it's just incredible how many careers were set in a certain direction because they were an intern for Conan. And then in our days of FinTwit, how many careers, like you mentioned Upside, he just pinged me after like 10 years in the dark. Like, I don't know what he's been doing, but hey, I miss you, love you, I'm posting again. And we're all tied together by this like thing that is Twitter.
You were the center of the universe, so you had
Twitter was the center.
But we knew each other like in physical space as a result of you, because you were the guy that was like, hey, the tweeting is fun, but we should all maybe get a beer or throw an event in New York or throw Lindzon Palooza in San Diego. Like you had that vision of, hey, this is more than just tweeting. This is like a proto online, offline community of people who happen to just love trading and investing. Like you saw that and you did it. And that's why you were at the center of the whole thing.
Well, what's so interesting is like, you don't use Twitter anymore, and I kind of only miss a few people, and you were top of the list, is because the community's gone. Like, so gone. And I hate saying that because it seems impossible, and now I'm so nostalgic because StockTwits is so fun, because, like, people just come back and say hello there. Just to feel a little bit of community, whereas not saying FinTwit is dead, it's just like that everybody's so disbanded, or the way the product became so disjointed, and algoed up and changed. You can't blame any one person. It's just technology, I guess.
I think it's changed in that in the early days, we could say whatever we wanted, within reason from compliance perspective, because some of us were actually, registered working in the industry. But like, you didn't have to worry that everything you said was going to be this thing that somebody like, stores for 6 months and then throws it back in your face. Like, oh, you said this and this happened instead.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't have to really worry about that because nobody gave a shit. That's number one. Number two, I felt like the early people that were on there had respect for each other regardless of what they did for a living. So there were journalists like Heidi Moore and Kelly Evans and, all the FT Alphaville people and Joe Weisenthal. Yeah. And then there were traders, and then there were investors, then there were financial advisors, there were a couple of hedge fund people, and everyone just kind of vibed and not agreed with each other, but just there was respect. You could have a conversation. Now it's just if you even hint that you're bearish on Bitcoin or you're bullish on Ethereum or you think the Fed is maybe doing an okay job, it's like walking into a dark alley. It's just you can't win. There's almost no upside to communicating at all, which is why it's dead. And a lot of the early people burned out and just decided, I've had enough of this shit. I don't need it anymore. So I think I am nostalgic for that. I don't know how you resurrect it.
You can't. I'm so nostalgic because it was so funny.
The late adopters, like the first few waves of late adopters kind of got it and they were cool. And then I think 2016, the whole platform turned very dark because of the Trump stuff. And then I think the pandemic was this other wave where FinTwit became CryptoTwit because the only people talking at that point were, these fucking laser-eyed maniacs. And
so true.
They just there was no conversation really about markets where crypto people weren't jumping into the replies to just do their shit. And I kind of checked out in the summer of 2020. It's almost 3 years. And anytime someone sends me a link to a tweet oh, this is funny, I'll click it, I'll read it. It's usually not funny because people aren't that funny. And then I'll look at the replies and I'll just be like, oh yeah, that's why I don't come here anymore.
Yeah. It is so true. And it happened to me in the last 6 months only. And I'm not blaming Musk. It's just
no, it's not his fault. It's way before he got involved.
Correct. And as a operator / that board and that leadership under Jack and the CEOs before it, that was the decay. But anyways, on community stuff.
Wait. So you said you don't get Instagram. Let me make it very simple for you. People are not quote tweeting each other as a form of dunking on Instagram.
No, I get that part.
And if you say something that people don't like on Instagram, the mechanism for other people that don't even know you or follow you to find it is very abstract. There's no way for someone to retweet you into their own stream and tell their followers, go after this guy. It almost has to make the mainstream media for other people to hear about it and then go find your site. So it's very hard to be offensive enough or outrageous enough to get that kind of firestorm that you get where you become the whipping boy on Twitter for the day. That really doesn't happen on Instagram unless it's a celebrity and it's deliberate. So that's number one. Number two, you have complete control of the comments under whatever you posted. Mm-hmm. You cannot delete someone else's tweet in your replies, but if somebody comes on your Instagram and says something disrespectful, you absolutely can erase it. You could block the person and erase what they said. So having that kind of control over your own atmosphere is important to people who love and respect themselves. If you're not on social media deliberately to stir shit up and get into fights, then you're probably going to default to a platform where you can control the environment. If you are there to fight and you are there for negative attention because your parents didn't love you or you're miserable in your own life and you want to make other people miserable
Knut,
or you're insecure in your career, then you're probably going to default to, a platform where people just go on there and fight all day. So I think it's almost like a personality.
It's a personality
decision.
thing. Dick and the guys before them, they had a chance to nip this in the bud. You can't, anyways, who cares about that?
Nobody. It's over. Who cares?
So you don't mind posting to Instagram? You're doing it for business reasons or just the joy of sharing content?
Listen, I promote my podcast on there. I don't talk about my business, but it's hey, we put up a YouTube show. Here's a clip.
So I should do that too. I should just put my podcast on there.
But I'm still acting like it's 2010. I'm still posting pictures of food I'm about to eat.
Got it.
Because I don't care.
Yeah.
You know what? I have 50,000 followers on Instagram. They like me. I don't have people following me there just so they can say mean shit to me. So when something good happens to me and I take a picture of it, or I meet somebody like that I'm really excited to meet and I post it there, people are like, oh, cool, good for Josh.
Yeah.
That's not the vibe on most other social media sites, especially not on Twitter.
Yeah, when I go on my fun bike trips, that's when I use Instagram, because
I see you riding a bike and I root for you. I'm not in your mentions being like, hey, fuckhead, you told me to buy Shopify at $290. Like, you know, I'm in your mentions like, wow, that looks like an awesome bike ride. And I'm genuinely happy for you. So it's really obvious. The difference is night and day. And who the hell would subject themselves to a place where people actively want bad things to happen to you?
Well, so speaking of that, so what are the kids like? Your kids are now in the teens, so what are they like?
Snap and TikTok, and they only watch things on YouTube. It wouldn't even occur to them that I'm paying Fios $200 for cable. Other than sports, like, they only will watch shows, videos, movies, whatever on YouTube, and they will never, ever, as long as they live, touch Facebook or Twitter. I do think that sneakily, they're like LinkedIn is going to get this next generation, because who has a choice? You have no choice. So if you're not building your presence on LinkedIn because you think TikTok is cool, you're making a really big mistake. If you want to be in the middle class in this country or above, you have a LinkedIn profile, period, end of story.
I agree with that, and I think disruption is coming for that reason most aggressively with this next, and even with the blockchain to LinkedIn. The way I think about LinkedIn, because I never used it, Josh, and I don't know if you use it for the firm. Do you use it as a place to recruit?
I love it. I think it's great.
It is great, but do you use it as a place to recruit or to write or to...
Everything. So I don't like write things specific for LinkedIn, but that's where I have 270,000 LinkedIn followers or something like that. That's where I will put links to things that I've written. And there's a conversation there, and there's a lot of financial advisors and like real people who actually work in my industry, not pseudonymous little dirtbags, like actual professionals who are registered and like, you know, can't just say whatever. Like, people are on their best behavior, myself included, on LinkedIn. They're not throwing bombs because that's like their public profile for their career. So I just find the tone to be like more civil, and the stakes are higher. So you don't act like your worst self, like a lot of us, myself included, used to do on other social sites. But then you see like some of the biggest leaders in business, they don't have a blog. They post directly to LinkedIn. Ray Dalio is a great example. LinkedIn is his blog.
No, Ted Mertz, my buddy, is like, that's his blog. And I'm like, dude, repost it somewhere where I would read it. But, you know, for me, LinkedIn's core thing is hiring. And I think this is why we're going to get disruption there. And a lot of it is due to proof in the blockchain is they probably have the biggest moat because of the network of...
Blockchain what? What do you mean?
Well, what I'm saying is hundreds of thousands of people are getting laid off from Twitter, etc. Okay? If Elon Musk says 90% of them were useless and they're all there bragging that they were head of product at Twitter or worked on something at Twitter, that now becomes worthless information, meaning there's no way to verify that this person did these things on LinkedIn. And these are important milestones. I went to school here. I worked at like, what did you actually do, and can it be verified is the next stage that needs to come to LinkedIn to make it useful in a world where now there's turnover in jobs finally, where there wasn't in tech for the last 20 years. Who are we supposed to trust? LinkedIn to verify that this guy actually worked on anything at Twitter?
All right, so no, in my industry, we have to go to the CRD, which is the central records depository where we can
that's 4 people in the country. But at scale, I'm saying LinkedIn has a problem because I don't trust any of the bios or any of the school stuff.
I agree. We have to verify that because we're a registered industry. Yeah. So we have to verify that somebody actually is licensed, has worked at firms, doesn't have customer complaints. So we can't just rely on LinkedIn either. I agree with you.
Yeah. So I'm really excited because, like you said, and I'm glad you're verifying it for me, LinkedIn is the bet. Like, I agree with you. Like, as I come full circle, I regret not using LinkedIn. I totally agree with you that we should have our kids use LinkedIn. But VCs around the world right now, including ourselves, are very focused on this problem, which is this, you could have 2% unemployment still, but the churn underneath has created such, and we saw it with Santos getting elected with all the fake resumes, that a verification both from the schools, and it doesn't have to be, I know you cringe at the word blockchain because it's associated with laser eyes and decentralization and trustless, but there's beautiful things about simple blockchains, even Flow, which isn't fully decentralized, that will allow things to be verified by point in time by both parties. That'll be very interesting. That's not so much a social network, but a real utility product, LinkedIn, that could be improved by parts of the blockchain. So I'm excited about that. And I agree, if you have teens, make sure they have a profile on LinkedIn. They can use TikTok all day long, and they will. Do you use TikTok? I still have not gotten into it, but I have friends at my age who love it.
I'm crushing it on TikTok.
No, I mean reading it. You open it up, you love it. Well,
no, the problem is it sucks you in because upon your second or third usage, you spend like 5 minutes scrolling, and the Chinese, black ops intelligence algorithm figures out exactly what you're into. So it
does work for you. You love it.
Yeah. So my whole feed is like clips from 90s rap videos and people frying chicken, and they just get like serving it up to me over and over and over and over again. And no, but we post clips from the shows. I'm not doing anything. I'm not doing anything like specific for TikTok because there's only so many hours in the day.
Right. But you'll post clips under what? Under Downtown Josh Brown?
32,000 followers on TikTok.
Hey, man, you're doing the work. So what, under Downtown Josh Brown?
I'm verified.
Really?
For real.
And is it under the firm or under your name?
No, me. Downtown
cool.
Josh Brown.
Oh, dude.
Follow me.
I'm going to follow you. But you wouldn't show up in my algo. It would be young Prussian women.
We're doing all the stuff with hashtags and all the stuff you're supposed to do. We're doing it.
Okay.
It's happening.
No, but I'm saying you wouldn't show up in my algo. But if I follow you, you're saying, and you post something, it would show up in my thing.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Wait, are you posting?
Never. Wouldn't know how to do it.
Do you have an account?
Yes.
All right, so you have an account, but you just like watching, you're not posting.
I haven't watched. Every time I watch, I guess I like wonton soup and Prussian women. So I think it's a look in the mirror that I don't like of myself.
Too much.
So speaking of too much, how much is too much of, as someone who does a podcast myself, but can show up, and Knut does everything, and has a firm with just like 4 people after all these years, how much is too much for you? Are you still enjoying the building and the grind? And tell us a little bit about Ritholtz Wealth.
Yeah, so we're going to be 10 years old in September. And
I was there in the beginning, and I was just sitting on a couch with you. And
you had a chance to give us some money.
Yeah. Well, so, I wanted to give you money. Let's just be clear again.
Not Barry.
Not Barry. If the firm was called Brown Pants Incorporated, I'd be a 20% shareholder.
So we launched in September 2013. So we're going to turn 10 this fall. And, all of the clients and all of the advisors who work at the firm came organically. Like we don't have headhunters. We're not cold calling. So we built, like everyone talks about culture. They don't have a culture. They have like,
you have
who wrote
culture.
the biggest check to recruit a guy from UBS to come to Morgan Stanley. Yeah. We literally have a culture because everyone is there for the same investing philosophy and the same ethos and the same vibe.
Yeah.
So that's, I think, pretty unique, and it's why I feel like there's no dividing line between my career and my life. Like this is my life's work, and I eat, sleep, and breathe it. So like how much is too much? It's not like, oh, fuck, I have to make a video. Like this is just what I am.
Yeah. Well, this is what I told you were. So, I mean, we were sitting in Coronado. I think Ellen was in the room, but you, me, Tom, probably. And maybe you weren't in the room, but you were on Skype, whatever we were using back then. Skype talk.
Yeah.
And we dialed you in, and I'm like, hey, dude, can we call this thing Brown Incorporated? And no, but like Barry's there, my Coronado, and I'm like, you guys are rolling this thing up, and I'm like so bullish. And I'm like,
you introduced us. So this is important. None of this happens without your event in San Diego, because it was 2010. I had been blown up completely by the financial crisis as a retail broker. Like, you know, everyone hated me and like everyone working in the industry. There was just like, you bought all these stocks for your clients and mutual funds, and no matter what you bought, they all got cut in half. So like, that was me in '09, and I'm writing the blog and whatever. And then you invited me in the spring of 2010, like May of 2010. You're like, hey, come out to Coronado. And I said, is Barry going to be there? Because I knew you and him were friends, and Barry was my idol. So you're like, of course Barry's going to be there. So I actually had to borrow the money to book a plane ticket, because I had a wife, 2 kids, basically no income.
Well, you had a blue tracksuit, so you had the important things.
Yeah, but no, financially, I was in bad shape. Yeah. And, you know, not because I'm lazy, just my career was going nowhere.
No, I get it. And a lot of venture capitalists will feel the same now. Like young venture capitalists are going to feel like you
so I came out there, and so I said to my dad, like, I think I got to go out there and meet this guy. He goes, you definitely do. Huh. And I said to my father-in-law, I'm like, I have no money, but I kind of have to do this, right? And everyone's like, yeah, your idol's out there. You got to go out there. So I met him the first hour.
Oh, you hadn't met him. I know I sat you together. I think you had said, yeah.
But anyway, what was so cool is we had the opposite problem. So he had millions of people emailing him, calling him, take my money, manage my money, because he was the guy that called the crisis and then called the bottom in the stock market. Like, he got both right very publicly. Yeah. But the problem is he's not a financial advisor. He's like a strategist. Right. So he can't take anyone's money. And I had the opposite problem. I can give financial advice, but nobody wants it from me. So teaming up was like lightning in the bottle, but none of it would have happened.
Was it love at first sight at that table? I remember we were sitting outside maybe.
No. It's better than that. It was like raining almost. It was like dark and gray. And he's the only person sitting on a lounge chair by the pool. He's got towels wrapped around him like blankets. Yeah. And he has a bowl of hot chicken soup on his belly. Yeah. He's like eating matzo ball soup by the pool. And I just said, this is my guy right here. So no, it was an instant connection, because we're both from Long Island. We both see the markets very similarly. We're both writers. We both love to communicate. And we just kind of like, we vibed. And by the time I got home from Lindzon Palooza, he was like calling me like, dude, you got to come meet my partners. You got to come over to the firm and interview. So
no, I mean, I see you guys interact together. We just had lunch, and it was just so funny, because he's so Barry. Like, I'm there, I know, and he's your fucking partner. And this is just Barry, lovable Barry. And he's asking you questions like he's never met your kids. Like, I'm there, hey man, Josh, catch me up on the bar mitzvah. And he goes, your kid had a bar mitzvah? I go, are you two fucking guys partners?
We know.
But you're like best friends. He knows nothing about anything and everything about nothing. I mean, he's so Barry. There should be a TV show about it. And so we sit down in my house, and I'm like so excited to like back their RIA. And I'm like, it's no different than the Robinhood pitch, when the Robinhood guys are pitching me, and they're like, you know, I love everything about this, but why not charge $1? And they looked at me and they were like, luckily took my money and not my advice. But with you guys, I was like, I don't know, you guys are like a media company, and I think like you're both the same. I didn't get that you were as good an operator. And so I just assumed.
I'm not, so Howard, I'm really not. But we had partners that
understand, but I'm telling you what I got wrong.
Operate.
Yeah. When I sat in the room, I'm like, guys, I'm backing 2 of the same beasts, and I would feel more comfortable. I didn't know that you were so capable of like delegating and building the firm. So that's what happens in my business. I'll sit at the table with the right people sometimes and just whiff. And it's just fun to be in the room when this was happening, and I just kick myself every time, because I knew you guys were going to be a home run. I knew wealth management was the space. Like me and Matt Ober and Gary, we're doing wealth tech deals all the time now with you and Batnick, and I'm coaching Batnick a little bit, but like I knew fucking 10 years ago that this was the trend. So I'm like, every time I see you guys doing well, it just fucking, I look at Ellen and I go, fuck, I'm so happy.
You know what? I think if any normal person sat with Barry and I in 2011, 2012, they would probably be like, these guys don't really know.
Well, no
how to
one would
run
have sat with you. So that's my point. At least I was in the room.
That's
right.
Fair.
And that's my job. Meaning, no knock on you, but like I was there because of who I am. Like I have that instinct. Can I tell you something
funny? As much as things have changed, nothing's really changed.
Nothing's changed.
Because all the industry events, all the publications, They're like writing articles about the same 10 guys who basically bought their firms with private equity money. They haven't built shit. They have no culture.
Dude, it's a roll-up fucking industry.
And I'm just
now.
nobody nobody gets it. Nobody sees us coming still.
Yeah.
Like, nobody understands what's about to happen over the next 10 years, really.
Yeah.
You still don't see us? But
no,
you know what?
believe me, back channel, I hear, like, you know.
But I
don't
like
care
it that
what
way.
other people think. I know because I was there early.
But I'm saying, part of me is like, really? You think this guy's but then it's like, isn't it better? Aren't you better off being underestimated or just, oh, that's the Twitter guy? Like, isn't it better that way?
Here's where it's better. Here's where it's better. And we finally are past phase 2. Listen, Web 2 is great. Okay. It gave us Chamath and All In podcasts. That's what Web 2 gave us. Fucking guys who believe their bullshit that growth hacking and blitz scaling was them, not the product, right? Web 2 was beautiful because it was YouTube, it was AWS, it was mobility, it was 0% interest rates. Now let's see what the true part of the web coming now is: organic, marketing, face-to-face, the whole package. You can't go on Alibaba anymore and arb your fucking Shopify store to glory with a Facebook algorithm, okay? That's why we had the 90% correction of Web 2 stocks. Now, the Web 2 stocks that survive are going to be incredibly glorious. Look at Lyft versus Uber. For all the mistakes Uber made, it's just a better product and a better company and better management.
What's a Web 3 stock?
What's that?
Like, what's a Web 3 stock?
There's no Web 3. Right, like I've called it Web 3. I call it Web 3 because Fred Wilson calls it Web 3, and the guy's right more than everybody else. So as long as Fred's calling it Web 3 without laser eyes, I'm good with Fred until these guys are wrong. Okay, so let's call it Web 3. What's a Web 3 company? TBD, a LinkedIn that was better tied to a little more decentralized in the way it verified who you are would be Web 3. It's just a little bit better. I tell people it's like windshield wipers on web. The Web 2 was the automobile, right?
Okay,
and Web 3...
I have to tell you, I'm sure it'll evolve, just like every technology is laughable in its infancy. This Web 3 nonsense is throwing spaghetti at the wall, and none of it is sticking. I'm on Mastodon, which
terrible.
is decentralized Twitter. It's a fucking ghost town.
Yeah.
I'm telling funny jokes. I'm getting like 5 likes.
I called you. I said, don't waste your time.
All right. Well, anyway, I'm on Post. After the 3rd time, I can't log in because it says it's sending me a verification link to reset my password, and the link never arrives.
Yeah. And who's the investors in Post? Andreessen. Who's the investor in Twitter?
Andreessen. The guy from Waze.
No, but it's also Andreessen came in at some stupid valuation on Post.
Okay,
so it's the same.
All the DeFi shit is not working as intended.
Correct.
Other than for trading tokens.
Because it's a feature, not.
No, because it's masturbation.
No, well, masturbation is a feature. Have you not tried it? Fantastic feature,
dude. It's solutions in search of problems.
Yes.
And the solutions don't even work anyway. And I'm sure it'll get better, and there will be a real Web 3 and decentralized and blah, blah, blah. But when? Like, how much longer is it going to be a clown show for? You can't tell me you need more money to build it.
You don't need more money, but do you game? Are you a gamer?
No, dude.
Right. So either am I. But we don't live in the world where, like, the stupid Oculus sold a lot of things, and there's a platform.
That I understand.
So there is this, like, whatever you call it, there is this world where idiots strap on goggles by the millions and have an Oculus app store. Like, I can't believe it, but it exists. So you can't, like, there are features of this. But anyways, going back.
I pay for Fortnite shit for my kid 2 years ago, and then he grew out of it. Now he's 14. He's into girls. Doesn't that, like, happen for most people? Are most people going to spend their whole, like, a third of their life with goggles on their head buying digital bullshit from scam artists? Is that the new economy?
No, but...
Because if so, I'm glad I'm already 46. I don't want to really witness a lot of that.
So going back to what I said, Web 3 is a feature, and it's like windshield wipers on a car. And maybe windshield wipers is a bad analogy because you need windshield wipers. But it's just one of those things that should make some cars run smoother. And right now, like you said, I think it's a product of 0% interest rate. It's a product of, like, the party will never end. and it's a product of, like you said, less oversight, and it's really
but it's like there's like a pointlessness to it. There's like you listen to people talk about it, and it's like the Ouroboros. It's the snake that eats its own tail. It's like we're inventing this thing so we can trade these tokens so that the tokens can buy other tokens. And then we're going to have like identity on the blockchain so that we can do other things on the blockchain. And all those other things are back to buying and selling coins and tokens. There's no connection between all of that stuff and the physical world. And I'm sure that'll come at some point, but it's all a video game and not a fun one. And very few people win because they're on the inside and they're dumping tokens on other people when they've gone up 1,000%. Like, that's not a fun game. Obviously, last year was a complete disaster for the people who had been playing that game. But like, even if it bounces back, there's still no point.
It's one of the biggest misdirections of all time.
Did you read what I said about ChatGPT being everything that they hoped Bitcoin would be?
Well, it's way bigger than they hoped Bitcoin could be. ChatGPT, every
out of the
day,
box, it's like amazing and works.
But that's Web3 in many ways. It's the machine. So the misdirection.
All right, so I'll buy that.
Yeah. So the misdirection came. Listen, QVC, and not to belabor, my first hit company was QVC driven, and I thought it was the greatest thing, and it was the thing before the thing. And so Web3 will turn out to be driven by machines like Brad Feld, and so Web3, people will reformat it in 3-4 months. Unfortunately, it's going to be driven by Microsoft and Google still, but at least they'll keep each other in check at some level. What's exciting about ChatGPT, and I'll say this as a non-user so far because I'm a creative, and I'm sure you're using it, but I'm not. I'm listening to a Smart List podcast, and you should listen to it. It's a fun podcast.
I love those guys.
Oh, good.
Yep.
So, I'm listening to them, and the question came up, can you use it for comedy? And I immediately muffled to myself, driving alone, no, stupid. And Bateman said, absolutely. He's writing speeches on it and playing around with it. I mean, you've jumped, I don't know what jump the shark means, but the Fonzie episode, but that is amazing that it's already being thought through by kind of Luddites in the world of tech.
That was my point. I was basically saying every promise that was talked about crypto, it's 15 years later, and if Bitcoin disappeared tomorrow, nobody would notice. It would have zero impact, positive or negative, on anyone's life. ChatGPT came out on November 30th. It got to 100 million users in 2 months. Right. For a little bit of perspective, it took Instagram 2.5 years to get to 100 million users.
It is the thing.
And a 5-year-old, like, you don't need white papers. You don't need people giving speeches or tweet threads. You literally come into contact with it
it's a search bot.
Figure out how you want to use it.
Yeah. So what's exciting about it to me, it's like pickleball. There's perfect product market fit, meaning the world was trained to type something into a Google message box. Why it's so important is I've never seen something move a stock like the news about, Google's mistake. The stock's down 10%.
It lost $100 billion in market cap because its AI didn't work. That's crazy.
It lost like all of Bitcoin basically over a fucking news reporter.
So Howard, I don't know if Mike has shown you any of this stuff, but we are now being inundated with generative AI pitches for the RIA space. And, I'm a smart ass, so my initial reaction when I hear shit like that is, here we go.
Yeah.
But we let our advisors play with some of this stuff.
Uh-huh.
So one of my financial planners spends an hour on the phone with a client. That's not an hour talking about the Super Bowl. There's like instructions that come out of that conversation. Mm-hmm. Okay, do this, get them the paperwork for that, move this money here. The advisor now has to formulate an email. Okay, just to review, here's what we talked about. There's got to be a Salesforce entry, etc. With generative AI tools, we can basically cut the advisor's workload, which gives them more time to talk to more clients, by literally 80%. All the stuff that you have to do to follow up from a call, and then the AI starts to learn the advisor's practice, and then you're not even giving it instructions anymore. you can just like give it a phrase and it will fill out an entire email to send to the client and send it for you.
Yeah.
Those tools are on the way. We're going to invest in some of these companies probably.
Yeah. Just call me on valuations.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I stay out of that part of it. That's not anything that I have any expertise in, but I know where the pain points are in my industry.
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell you, like, if this
AI
kind of thing
is going to solve it before
proliferates,
Web3, before crypto.
so AI-enabled financial advisors, what this does to the industry is it requires advisors, if they want to stay competitive, to incorporate it. And then the benefit is you can go from I serve 100 households to I serve 300 households, and you don't give anything less to your clients. It's just that you have a machine in the background doing the arduous, annoying shit that is not even valued by anyone. Yep. And that, to me, would make me super bullish on real-world applications for Web3. So if that's what we're calling it, then I'm all in.
It's just the machines and humans. You got to have jujitsu. You can't fake it anywhere. Web 2 was posers. The Web 2 companies, Airbnb, Uber, unfortunately in enterprise, it's going to be a lot of fucking monopoly with Microsoft. But the companies that survive Web 2 are going to be dominant because you won't be able to raise the capital, and no VC wants to back another Web 2 company. Like, I get pitched Web 2 stuff. I go, guys, what are you doing? Building something for the App Store? Are you kidding me? And then you got to build. So think about the power that like Airbnb has. You're not going to be able. Now, granted, even Robinhood, if these companies don't screw up, even Coinbase, the winners of Web 2 that get through this are going to be generational home runs because of capital costs. Web 3 is going to be more about guys like you who have experience, who aren't scared of marketing and doing the face-to-face and organic. Web 3 is going to be much more of an organic web where you have to earn your customer and you have to put the time in. You can't just go run an algo and arb your traffic. So I'll end it there. Hey, one question. Two parts. You can
one
walk,
question in 2 parts.
Yeah, you can walk around New York for the afternoon. Perfect day with 2 people. One, a financial world that you respect, and just your favorite, somebody dead or alive that you can walk around with and ask questions. Who are those people?
All right, so somebody that works in finance is the first person.
Well, just someone like a fan that you want to talk about markets with and investing.
Somebody that's like just fun to chat markets. I would say JC for sure.
Yeah, you guys are great together.
You probably would too. JC's my guy. Like I don't know, we have 18 years of history together, and I've watched him he's 5 years younger than me. So I've watched him grow into the entrepreneur that he is today, and there's nobody more fun to hang with, whether it's business related or not. Like he's down for whatever.
And then
so it's probably JC.
Dead or alive, like just a celeb or person you would walk around and just talk what you like talking about New York with.
So I have this like fascination with J. Pierpont Morgan, and I'm sure he hated the Jews, but like I feel like me and J.P. Morgan would get on really well together. And I've read a lot of books about the era, and I've read books about him, and he just seems like one of these people that had the ability to bend time and space to his will. And he was a guy that could convene like the most powerful people in a room and fucking lock them in until they did what he wanted. And I feel like he was the Fed before there was a Fed. Huh. Like in the panic of 1907, people don't even understand. He like assumed control of the Knickerbocker savings and loan or whatever the bank was that everyone was panicking over. And do you know how he got us through the crisis? In addition to getting everyone to agree to stop selling things, he told the tellers at the bank, give everyone their money back. By no means can you freeze withdrawals because that'll cause a real panic. But I want you to count out the money very, very slowly until the bank closes at 4 p.m. Then we get overnight to come up with enough money to make it through the next day. And just like
sounds like he didn't hate Jews. Sounds like he might have been Jewish.
Might have been a secret Jew. Yeah. But just like a guy like that who I think was like so instrumental in creating the modern financial world that we have today. It would be fascinating. And he also loved New York City. And so walking around New York with him and having him point to the things that were there when he was there, that would be kind of cool.
Well, I'm excited for you to see Max this summer. He's a different person than the kid who disappeared in an Uber one time at our last dinner. He had a beard. He came to he's just different kid. He has a beard now. It's funny.
I'm going to look out for him this summer.
All right, my man. Thanks for doing this. I have a million other questions, but maybe we'll do it again soon. Say hello to the boys, and
good luck with all that testosterone shortage. I hope you find a new source.
I'm on a treadmill. I did this whole podcast on a treadmill.
Drink the blood of a young gymnast. Like, what is the?
All right.
All right. Love you, Howie. Bye.
All right. See you, buddy. That was fun. See, and that's fun. That's a panic with friends. No panic, all friends.
I know.
I
love that guy's laughter.
Yeah, I like making him laugh. I mean, I got to get back to my roots. So, anyways, thanks, Knut. You are listening to, everybody knows where to find Josh. You were listening to Panic with Friends. I sit down with friends most of the time who are investors, traders, entrepreneurs, trying to get a little bit ahead of the market. Josh may not be a geek, but he plays with everything and has 2 kids that are geeks. And so we like to think about the future, but not get too far ahead of it. You can search my name, Howard Lindzon, on Spotify, Apple, Google, wherever your favorite platform is. You'll see Panic with Friends. Subscribe, please. Makes it easy. You will get an alert and one of our podcasts every Thursday. Thanks, Knut.
Thank you.
Howard Lindzon is the founder and general partner at Social Leverage. All opinions expressed by Howard and podcast guests are solely their own opinions and do not reflect the opinion of Social Leverage or StockTwits. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon for decisions. Guests may maintain positions in securities discussed in this podcast.